Hello everyone, welcome back to the CORNDAWGS Blueprint. And if you're watching this very video, you must be planning on applying to the Yale Young Global Scholars program. So what is Yale Young Global Scholars program? Yale Young Global Scholars program is simply one of the best high school summer programs where students get to go to Yale University in the United States and spend there a couple of weeks while at Yale University right there in New Haven, Connecticut. In this very video, I'm really gonna share with you my journey to the Yale Young Global Scholars program, the reason as to why I applied in my application, and how you can actually also really get it. So first and foremost, the biggest question is why apply to Yale Young Global Scholars, my friend? Like, why did I even apply? Why did I think about Yale Young Global Scholars in the first place? So I remember at the very time I was way back around grade 10, and I was just like much more of a sophomore. And I thought about what kind of impact Yale Young Global Scholars is really going to have towards my academic journey and my personal growth. And also being an international student at that very time, there were very many reasons that could really do hold me back and be like, you know what, you don't really want to apply. You don't really have to apply because you're not really going to get in, if you just really try to compare yourself to all the other kids all over the world, because this is just not just like a national kind of thing. That's an international hit. So I really applied for three major reasons that I'm really going to share with you today. The first reason that I really applied is the opportunity that Yale Young Global Scholars does really give to international high school students and also students across the US. At the very time, I wasn't really much more exposed to lots of international programs that are really in person. I was much more of this, online international competitions and, whatever Olympiads you really want to do, whether math or science. But Yale Young Global Scholars really shifted my perspective of looking at the opportunity it does really give me to connect with like-minded peers of the same age, and we also get to interact and talk about various topics that do really interest us and things that are really going to help us to grow, personally and also in our academic journeys. So that was really very incredible. I was like, you know what? I just really have to make sure that I really apply. And I'm not sure if I'm really going to get in, but I'm just really going to give it my best. So the opportunity was one of the most things that really stood out to me. Number two, I really love the community. The community that Yale Young Global Scholars does really give not only to the US residents, but also to the students across the world. It's really, really, spectacular, or is something that I can't really explain how important or how valuable it is later on in your future as an international student, especially. So at the very time, my story was I wasn't much more like I really told you, having lots of international friends or some kind of international network around me. So I was like, which of the programs does really give me this very social interaction while I'm also trying to improve myself as that very kind of young student and sophomore in high school to actually just become a better person. I was like, you know what? It's really going to be Yale Young Global Scholars. And of course, you know what? I really got it, as we are really going to be saying. And then the last thing that really made me apply to Yale Young Global Scholars, and I know this is the reason why almost everyone is really trying to look out to, put in the application and actually really give it their best, is the diversity. If I'm really talking about diversity, I'm talking about you are really going to meet kids from almost every country around the world. Talk about people from Asia, people from Africa, people from over the Americas. Everyone is really going to be there. And every student has a different perspective or a very unique perspective of what you really think, the whole world is really all about. And that was really one of the key things that I really treasure Yale Young Global Scholars. So typically, if we are really trying to continue on this very topic of the Yale Young Global Scholars program, very many students have questions on which timeline do I really use if I'm really going to apply? Do I apply for ED or do I apply for RD, early decision or slow decision? It does really depend on what you really feel like is really more kind of aligned to your schedule, especially if you're really still in high school. Whether you really want to apply early, you get an early decision by December, or you apply for RD and you get your decision around March, and the deadline for RD is around January 15th, whereas the deadline for Our early decision is around November, October, around there, depending. It usually varies a lot, but it's usually late October towards early November. Well, then the other biggest question that most of the students, have reached out to me really asking, it's how is your application like? Like, what's some of the tricks you really use to really help you get in? Well, I would really say there are no much kind of tricks you really have to use. You just really have to be yourself, and this is what really happened to me. I applied for RD because basically at the very time the school I used to attend way back then didn't really allow me enough time to apply for ED. So I didn't really want to do half the work or give it my 100% if I was really going to apply to that very program. So I decided RD is the best kind of time that does really align with my schedule at that very time. And my SCs, recommendation letters, extracurriculars, the ECs, it was really a lot of stuff. The application is really very exhausting. And that is one of the things that made me feel like, you don't want to do all this work, because it's basically like you're applying to college. But the questions are really very interesting. I really enjoyed every time I was really trying to answer the AC questions. And what I really have to tell you is in the ACs, do as much as possible to really market yourself, because that is really the most important thing. It's like you are marketing yourself to that very admissions officer and you're telling them, hey, look, I'm not just this very young kid or a small kid. You just really look at me. I am good at this, or I can do this. And the way how you sort of tell your story is very unique, and you just really have to project your voice outside there. And then when it does really come to recommendation letters, this is a very critical point, because your recommendation letter does not just really help the admissions officer to know you better, but it also helps the admissions officer to understand the relationship that you have with your teacher and how much your teacher does really know you. For example, if in my application I talked about myself being this very smart and cooperative and kind of, I would say, kind and loving student. But then my teacher is like, well, he's a very cooperative student in class, and he goes like extra, extra, like something like that, and so on. Things like, there are some big phrases, he does this, and this, and so on. Those things are really gonna trip you off, and you don't want to be tripped up, because this is an international hit. This is something you've really been working for towards getting, and you don't want just that very small mistake to just really push your bar down. Get a very good recommend. That very person that knows you well, and that is really gonna craft the best recommendation letter for you. When it does really come to extracurriculars, I don't really have to tell you that you really have to do extracurricular X or Z if you really want to get in, because it basically depends on what you're really applying for. Because you could be interested in the IST cohort, which is the information science and technology. You could be interested in SGC. You could be interested in maybe PLE, politics, law, and economics. So it depends on your extracurricular activities. But me personally, I was into the information in science and technology, program, and that is what I was really super interested in. So I really had to talk about my STEM activities, the Olympiads I've won, the medals I really got, and more importantly, the debates I've really been participating in, because those very communication skills are really very important, and they already see them throughout your application, and that is really something you just really want to project out there and be like, you know what, I'm just really very good at this, and you can really better me and give me that very spot. So probably after all that very arduous process of applying, month of, iterating that very one is in trying to make it perfect, this is the time for the decision. March 10th came just like a very normal day. I just really woke up, but I couldn't really go to class. I was just trying to open my portal almost each and every other time, trying to peep through and see, is there any kind of update that these people have really posted yet on my student portal. And it was around, it was around 5:30 p.m. ET, and, the decision really came up. And to my surprise, because the competition was really a lot, and at the very time, I didn't really feel like I really gave it all that I really had to give it, depending on how I wrote my essays, because there was an incident where one or two of the prompts were asking for 100 characters and had written 100 words before. And by the time I realized we only needed 100 characters, it was just like 1.5 weeks towards the submission deadline. So because of that, I wasn't that much sure. Though I had some very good kind of trust that I'm really gonna make it. And boom, I just really got into the Yale Young Global Scholars program. It was a really dream come true. That very day was really one of my best days in my life, and I can't really forget or express how happy that I am that I really happened to get into that very program on that very day. And obviously, what I just really want to tell you, what I just really want you get to know is that this can be done by anyone that would really like to get it, as long as it's your goal and you really give it all you really have to, and you do the right thing, and you consult the right people and have the right people around you. You can also attain that very goal if at all there's something you would really like to explore. And obviously, I'm just really shouting out to almost every international student around there, or every national that is in the US, to really apply for such interesting and fantastic programs. You're really going to explore a lot and learn a lot that is really going to help you grow personally. And I can't wait for you to check out more videos on my experience at Yale Young Global Scholars and some of the mistakes I really did that I feel like I shouldn't have really done, and I don't want you to make the same mistakes. I can't wait for you to ask any questions you really want to get to know about the program, and share it with your friend or family if you feel this is really very important. And thanks for watching. Keep posted.